Righty, are we live? I believe we are live. Let me know if there's anybody out there, if you can hear me. Let me know in the chat. How we doing? How we doing out there, folks? Let's nice one, nice one. That's good to know. Let me know if you can hear the music. I think it should be fine, but yep. Cool, cool. So, in an unprecedented turn of events, there were so many tracks that got submitted that the downloads didn't work or the links didn't work. So I've actually got space for more tracks, which is not usual. Normally we have like a wait list of about 10 or so tracks. So if you want to send in tracks, get them in. There's a link at the top of the chat, and we will do our best to get through them. All right, let's get things underway with Mr. Unknown Vibes. First, as always, very consistent. Let's go. Fernando, what's up, buddy? Hell yeah, this is dope. What's up, Marcel? Adria, welcome, buddy. Will Evans, what's up, mate? Bro, this is so good. Love it. What a vibe, eh? That's like summer all the way through. There's like, I mean, there's very little to kind of pick out about the track. I would say, I don't know, the vibe, it kind of works with the vibe, but I think the vocal is maybe could be a little bit more in front. Whatever, it's not a huge big deal, but I think it could maybe stand out a little bit more. Maybe it's got a little bit too much like delay and reverb on, but very, very little. And like, I don't know, the delay and reverb works for the vibe, but maybe it's a matter of like having it kind of parallel processed, so the vocals a bit more in front, and then it still has that kind of vibiness, but the vocals kind of ducking some of that reverb and stuff out when it plays. And so you brought in this kind of like 16th note. It's kind of like a one note arpeggio kind of thing, which doesn't make sense, but you know what I mean. Oh no, it is an arpeggio, sorry. So that also kind of works for the vibe, but I think like so here before the break, I was thinking there could be another kind of simple synth thing that comes in to build up a bit of tension, or just make it create a little bit more interest for the break that could then maybe carry on and do something through the break. But that said, it all kind of works as it is, but I think, yeah, just a couple of things like that could be done a little differently. I don't know. That's what I was thinking when I heard this section. Then the other thing is the vocal comes back in here. Oh no, okay, don't worry, forget that. It's good. It's really, really good. I'm sure that'll get picked up pretty easily. Maybe a label like Deep Palmer could be cool for it. But Marcel, why don't you hit me on Instagram and let's talk about it. All right, Adria Falco, Lost in Trance. I feel like that open hat that just came in is maybe a little bit dull. Something that a little bit brighter could help to kind of like lift it up. It kind of adds energy, but it feels like it also kind of dulls the highs somehow. It could be just like literally a matter of tuning it up, one semitone or two semitones, or finding something slightly different. I like the body that the hat has, but it just feels like a little bit dull. I really like this, how you kind of use the acid line to build up into this and then dropped it back. So it's like a lot more stripped back with the vocal in front. Like it's such a good trick. And I think it's something that so many people overlook on doing. Like you often get tracks, or I often see tracks that are just the same drums all the way through. But like just taking out those drums and then bringing them back in, or like teasing that acid line and then bringing it in properly later, like it just helps to create tension and release and keep the track more interesting, you know. And like it's using the elements that you've got, not just adding more and more on top. Just back to that hat comment, like with the vocal it makes much more sense, so just ignore my hat comment. Another absolute banger. Adria, I am struggling to kind of find something to advise you on. I think it's really freaking good, man. Congrats. Get it out. Send some demos. I'm not too sure where. I don't have a label on the top of my head that would kind of work for it, but I'm sure you'll find something. It's really good. So this is really cool, JP. I think so this piano thing that you've got happening is like really cool, and I like the way that you introduce it and kind of tease it at the start. And what you're doing with it sounds like what it should be doing, but I think like, so this kind of like idea that you're playing like half the riff and then creating like anticipation, like it feels like there should be something to follow it. And when you actually do follow it with something, I don't feel like it's got the payoff that it kind of needs. Like that bit there, it's also kind of like a little bit kind of wistful and doesn't really so if you think about it like a conversation, like the first part seems like it's kind of answering the question, asking the question, and then this one kind of feels like it's replying with a question. And then in here, I think you add a different. Yeah, so again, it feels like you kind of ask the question and then it gets answered with another question. Like, I think just keeping it kind of basically like try and make a riff that starts with this bit that you've got that you're using throughout the track and then kind of carries on. It doesn't need to be like some complex kind of phrase. I think like dun 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 dun, something like, you know, like, I don't know, I'm just kind of like, literally the way that I would do that is just try different things over and over and over and again until something sounds right. But basically, like, I think like you want to have something that just plays more on the theme or the motif that you're creating there. I think it's just going to be a bit stronger and a bit more satisfying to the listener. The other thing that I feel is like the drums feel a bit kind of like they're kind of 70% there or something. I think your kick is maybe not right for the track. Hopefully you're programming your kick in MIDI and you can use hot swap to just play the track and cycle through a bunch of kicks and try and choose one that maybe sounds like it naturally slots in a bit nicer. Like, so the like this groove that you've got here, it kind of sounds okay, but there's not a lot of like syncopation and kind of like a lot of kind of, yeah, it just feels a bit too straight and a bit too robotic. Like if I play the Unknown Vibes track again, you know, there's a little bit more in the background. There's a little bit more push and pull between the elements, and some of that can be created between just the balance of the volume balance of the different elements. Like it's also not a hugely complicated groove. I just feel like the elements in that track complement each other a little bit better. So it's actually a good place to be in, and I have this relatively often with my own tracks. Like I'll basically have a track done and then be like, it's not quite right, something's not quite right about it, and I'll often end up redoing the drums and it all works. So I would like basically change out the kick, and then try and rework the drums a bit, and then I think you're going to be onto something. If you can nail that piano hook with the kind of call and response as well. So great stuff. So I feel like you're missing. Well, let's see what happens in the track. But I feel like you're missing an opportunity to have something sitting, like your bass sitting in the low mids. So you've got this really subby bass, which is playing almost the same or very similar frequency to the kick, and they're kind of like there's not a lot of separation between the kick and the bass. And the thing is, like, so often when I'm mixing tracks for people, or giving feedback on tracks, lots of the time people put too much stuff in this kind of like 80 to 200 or 300 hertz range, because like synths and stuff just sound really cool there. They sound kind of like aggressive and gritty, and like it just sounds really pleasing, right? So if you don't have elements in there, you're kind of like missing out on having some just really cool sounds in your track. But it also, having something that's occupying that part of the frequency spectrum, it could be like low percussion or something like that. It helps to make your track feel more like filled out. Also, I think like in general, it's hard to demonstrate it because you've got that open hat, which is like quite dominant. But I think other than the open hat, the stuff at the high end percussion, the shakers and hats and stuff, are a bit too quiet. You can really hear it, I think, at the start before the open hat comes in. So if I do like a bit of a high shelf like this. So that kind of starts to sound a bit more balanced to me, and has a bit more energy. And you're going to get lots of energy in the track from those shakers and stuff. But obviously when this open hat comes in, that's going to be much too loud, I think. Yeah. But the open hat is like probably about the right volume, but all the other stuff underneath it is a bit quiet, and you're losing a bit of energy and a bit of like sparkle from it. So you've just brought in a new synth that's like sounds very similar to this pluck that you've got. Like it's like the new synth is a little bit more sustained, but the like oscillator sound source sounds very, very similar. So I would get something that's sounds quite different to that. This pluck that you've got, if that's kind of going to be kind of like the main hook or the main theme of the track, then I think you need to go a bit deeper with the automation and the kind of, like maybe adding some delay and stuff on it in the break. It also sounds like at the end you add quite a bit of reverb here, but beforehand it still sounds pretty dry. This could be also something, maybe you could double it down an octave or something like that, and that would help to fill out some of that low mids kind of sound and make that sound, give that sound like a bit more body. You could either do that by literally, if it's on a polyphonic synth patch, by like just doubling it a note, an octave down, or maybe adding a lower oscillator, or adding a layer to the from another synth. So those are just 3 different delay scenes, and like I just felt like it needed some kind of delay and some kind of craziness, but just a bunch more automation. I think if you're going to have that, it can by all means be the main synth of the main kind of point of the track, but I think you just really need to work it a bit more, like maybe add some like a phaser on it or something like that. Just make it a bit more interesting, but there's a good kind of foundation for a track here. I think you just need to kind of maybe go the extra mile on it. I want to mention, guys, if there's anyone watching that hasn't submitted but wants to, we've actually got a couple of free spaces. Normally we have about 6 or 8 tracks in the waitlist, and we got some openings just in the kind of guaranteed listen to tracks this month. There were a lot that either didn't have a correct link, or downloads weren't enabled, or for whatever reason, but this is quite unprecedented. So if you want to send something through, send it through. There's a link at the top. Will, you sent something through, did you? You probably want to check if that link is working or whatever. Yeah. Hey, Will, your link doesn't work, bro. You need to make sure that you click the share button on SoundCloud to get the private link, not just copy the URL. Alright, so this sounds like quite a work in progress. So while it's only 3 minutes long, it feels really samey. It feels like kind of like so there's also, okay, so there's drums, there's a bit going on in them, but it feels like I think when you have this like at the core of your drum groove, this really kind of simple stripped back thing, I think it's really important to get all of those sounds just working together so well, because you can have a drum groove that has just this few elements in it and sounds like you could listen to it for an hour, and this doesn't have that to me. The sounds just seem a bit kind of random and a bit separate from one another. And that's kind of underpinning the whole track, so I feel like it's really important to get that right. You bring in this arpeggio riff kind of thing, which is cool. It reminds me of I can't remember the name of the artist. Inspector Norse. Oh man, that's going to bug me. That's the name of the name of the track is Inspector Norse. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, like it feels like it could be almost that, but it's not quite there, so it's not quite as interesting. Let me find that track so that I can give you a proper reference. Got it. Yes, that's it. All right. So like I think this could be a lot more pleasing if the drums worked better. Like it wouldn't, but if the drums were like, if it had just a really nice, simple, concise sounding drum beat and all the sounds, basically better sound selection. It's just, I think someone said that in the chat as well. Yeah. Then that would be a lot more rewarding to listen to. And the break doesn't really create a lot of tension and release. I think if you work that melody a bit more and make it a bit more interesting, listen to the Inspector Norse track and like see if you can kind of just push it a little bit further, because it could be like that's all. Check that track. It's also really simple. It's got not much going on in terms of the number of elements and stuff, but it was huge, and it is like a phenomenal track. Yeah, but like sort your drums out for starters. Like I don't think like there's very few. While I love drums and percussion, I think they're so important. For me, there's very few tracks that are just drums and percussion that are super standout to me. But a track that doesn't have good enough drums just feels... It's the fastest way to make a track sound amateur, for want of a better word. I've got a bunch of videos on my channel about how to kind of find drums and stuff in context, how to make better drum grooves. So get on there and watch some stuff if you're stuck for that. Good morning, Ian. It's 2:43 p.m. You've got to get yourself together. This is a vibe. It might be because I'm listening in headphones, but there's like a guitar in my left ear that feels like a little bit annoying and a little bit rhythmically not working as well with the drums and stuff. I don't know. It might just be me, and it might just be because I'm listening in headphones, but it's a very small thing. The vibe of this is fantastic. So this other guitar that just came in here sounds a lot more like it should be there. You've got to get yourself together. Really nice keys there. Sick. Yeah, I don't know. I would try muting that guitar, but that's just me. Yeah, this has got sick vibes, Andy. I'd love to hear like a Hot Toddy remix of it. I don't know if anyone doesn't know Hot Toddy, go check him out. He's such a good producer. Eton? Yes, there's a couple spaces left. You've got to get yourself together. You've got to get yourself together. this is, I don't know, I've given like a little bit of feedback along the way, but this is just really good, Andy. It's got like a very timeless vibe. I mean, I guess that said, it doesn't really sound like now, but it doesn't sound outdated. It sounds like something that maybe came out in like 2005 that I still listen to regularly on YouTube because it never got put on Spotify, if that makes sense. It's sick, dude. Really good job. Yeah. Mr. Luca Penser. Cool dude. Met Luca. He's now living in my old hometown of Wellington in New Zealand. And he came along to a show I played there recently, which was sick. So anyone in the chat, come along to shows and let's have a chat in real life. This is really good, Luca. I was kind of like listening to it, feeling like there was something a little bit missing in the low mids. Well, but I think it's literally just the balance of the mix. I think everything's there. It just could be a little bit tighter on the mix. Maybe some of the highs a little bit brighter. You know, maybe that snare kind of punching through a little bit. It's hard to do this with EQ. Because then you end up like messing with the pads and stuff. But in general, I think it's a really, really cool track. It's how to say it, like compared to like maybe some of your other tracks, I think just being familiar with what you've done, I feel like it's a bit more laid back, which just in general, it just, I guess, like, you know, if you're a label, you're probably more likely to sign something a lot of the time that's a bit more dance floor focused. I guess, I don't know. I wouldn't be sure where to send this, and if it was, yeah, like if it was like had like a real strong prominent vocal feature, it could be like, it could be perfect, but because the vocal, it sounds like a sample or something. Where is it? You know, it might be from a sample pack. It might be from it's like sampled from an acapella or something. But you know, if this style of beat had like a really strong vocal hook, then I think it wouldn't, or like a song, chorus, verse, a song. Then I don't think it would be a problem that's so laid back. But I think for the kind of style of track, I think it's quite laid back, which might give it a bit of an issue being signed. I don't know. That's just my feeling. I don't know. But really well done. Let's have a listen to Mr. Ryan Cole. Is that your tried and tested arrangement, Ryan? I work with Ryan pretty regularly, and we were discussing last call that he was basically, I think I had like 3 or 4 of his tracks in Ableton, and they all lined up perfectly with the exact same arrangement. Kind of missing a hook. It was a really good groove and really well done. I mean, I think anyone can hear how much like detail there is in there, and also like Ryan's really good at kind of like what I was saying about the drums all working super well together. I think his drums just, they sound really concise. Really, I mean, really solid dude. As always, like the kind of sound selection, the mix is great. Loads of automation and really cool atmosphere and effects and stuff. But I do kind of feel like it's lacking a it's kind of like a memorable hook. The kind of stab. It's cool. It adds to the groove. It all works, but it feels more like a kind of filler track than something super memorable. Really, really well produced. I don't know. I guess that said, like, not every track needs to be like what do you like? I don't know. Like, you can make filler tracks for sure. I just my goal when I'm making music is always to try to make something that stands out and is memorable. I mean, maybe, to be honest, maybe the kind of the groove and atmosphere and the kind of vibe of this is enough. And I don't think adding a vocal or something is gonna make it like. I think adding a vocal or something is probably going to detract from it, to be honest. But I don't know. Maybe there's like some kind of riff or some kind of like sound design thing that helps it kind of stand out. Like it does feel like there's some thing. There's like not a lot going on in this area. which is where the human voice sits, and that's what we as humans like to hear. We focus on and are excited by things that happen in that kind of part of the frequency spectrum. So it's always good to have like something planned there. DJ Emeo, something signature. Exactly, like a signature sound. Something memorable about the track. Someone just asked before in the chat, where is it? Other than sound selection, how do you make good drums? And I would say that's sound selection is basically sound selection and like syncopation and groove, but fundamentally I think you can make like pretty straight drums that sound kind of groovy if you get the right sounds. Like, okay, I'm going to shout myself out here, but it's just the easiest way to demonstrate it. I think like I'm really proud of some of these drums that I did in my latest sample pack. You know, that's really straight kind of top loop. That one's got a bit more. See, like that's so simple. But the sounds work well together. So it sounds like, you know, you could have something that's got way more kind of syncopation and way more going on. But if you don't have those simple sounds that complement each other and just like kind of, I don't know, just work together, then it's never really going to sound kind of that tight. Like I try to think about the drums almost just sounding like one thing, like because the hats and the clap and the kick all sound so like they're meant to be together that it just kind of becomes this one thing. Anyway, let's carry on. We've got, did I just skip over someone? Shit. Fernando.
Change is inevitable for everyone.
Super tight, Fernando. This is great, man. Really good, Fernando. I mean, I'm going to say, I mean, I don't, for whatever this is worth, it's not my favorite of the tracks that you've sent in over the last 6 months, but that's more of like a personal take. That's just based on, like, I guess, yeah, my taste. But it's really well done. The mix sounds great. There's so many like nice little details in there. Like this little synth that comes before the break here.
Change is inevitable for everyone.
Yeah, like really well put together. Great tune. I'm not going to suggest a label for it because I'm not too sure on that front, but yeah, really good, dude. So without the context of the bass, the kick and the bass, I was like gonna comment on the drums, that they didn't sound that good, but they sound really good with the kick and the bass. So maybe you could have, instead of just having it the way it is, you could have the kick here, but just kind of filtered out so the low end is cut on the kick. Because I think that's going to like underpin the drums and make them sound a bit more complete.
If Frankie is the father and Johnson is the mother, then I'm the motherfucking speaker of the house.
I think with the bass there, you could have done with like filtering it out a bit.
If Frankie is the father and Johnson is the mother, then I'm the motherfucking speaker of the house.
It's just going to add a bit more tension and release and make the drop feel more powerful.
I'm the motherfucking speaker of the house. No, this ain't no goddamn joke, and we ain't about to vote up in here. You can't elect the spirit. You can only recognize it for what it is. Drums and bass and bass and drums and bass and... Well, you get the idea. If we can all agree that Kitty is dope and that Barbara can hit those motherfucking notes, well then I'm the motherfucking speaker of the house. My voice is not by choice, it was given to me by God himself. I imagine that when I met him I was soft spoken and he put his hands to my mouth and said, "Speak louder, my child." So I
Bass. And drums.
Sick, man. The vibe and everything that you've got going on here is like really, really cool. For me, like, I don't know, is it worth saying if it was my track that I'd add some like congas or something? Let's see, how fast is it? 127.
No, this ain't no goddamn joke, and we ain't about to agree that Kitty is dope.
Really sick. I think the vibe on here is like 11 out of 10. I feel like the drums could be a bit cooler. I would maybe look at Technasia as a reference. He does lots of tracks that kind of sound really similar kind of vibe to this. Same kind of bass rhythm, same kind of style drums, but have like a little bit more, I don't know, maybe the drums are a little bit more housey, but yeah, I think with the right drums, this could just be so fire. And it feels like it could be like a really big track to me. All right. Okay. Yeah. So that was coming to mind, but he's got a bunch of other ones as well that are yeah. Sugar's a great track. Drums. Get in there with the drums, because the rest of the stuff is absolutely on point. You've got like lots of little points where you kind of take out the kick at the right time and have a vocal play, and then it drops back in. So I think the arrangement and everything seems on point. Just the drums. Obviously it's subjective and this is a completely different style, but see, to me the drums on this already sound like really concise and like really working well together. I think like I just commented that I really like the drums, and I think as far as the track sounds so far, I think they're not really right for the track. I think having like tighter, less kind of shuffling, the drums kind of sound like they'd work really well for like a deep, progressive, or maybe slightly organic house kind of track, and this track sounds like it would probably be better with more like kind of melodic techno, maybe like some drums like Adam 10 Metagami kind of style. But I think these like shuffly shakers and stuff, they're kind of like not like, it starts to sound quite muddy when you're bringing in these big synths here. I think if you with just like a tighter, more stripped drum groove, those synths are going to sound way better. Okay, now this kind of arpy thing is starting to sound a bit organic house. Sorry, I'm skipping through this a lot, but it's like a 9-minute track, so So you've created a lot of tension here. This is like building up. And then you just like let all that tension slip through your fingers to create this kind of like melancholic kind of moment, which then you kind of go back to it and it's gone. Like the moment has passed. I don't think that works, to be honest. And it definitely didn't, the drop didn't have the payoff for the tension that was created there. Yeah, the mix is a bit muddy, a bit dull. I'm kind of having, it feels like it's got like one foot in organic house and 1 foot in, I don't know, whatever you call the style of house music that like Adam 10 and Mitagami Maccabi House do. Maccabi? I don't know. Yeah, the synths sound like they're from one place, and the drums and yeah, it's a bit confusing, and the mix could be better. But yeah, I kind of feels like you've got 2 tracks there, and you've kind of got the length of 2 tracks as well. So maybe there's something in it. Yeah, again, in this one, I think the drums just don't really sound right for the track. You've got like a lot of things happening on the 16th. You've got you've got quite a lot of 16th hat kind of shaker things. And then you've got this like kind of stuttered synth pad thing happening, like it, and the kind of again, the foundation of the drums, it just doesn't sound quite strong enough. Like the kick sounds like a bit boxy for the kind of track that you're doing. Maybe, yeah, I think the kick's maybe too long for the amount of stuff that you're putting into the track. Yeah, I mean, I think you've got like all the arrangement and stuff, and the synths and stuff work. And I think it could be cool. I just feel like the drums aren't like bringing me into the zone. I really liked this bit in the break here, the way that you ended the break. Yeah, I don't know. I think you need to work on the drums. Simple is generally better, especially like getting the simple part nailed, and then also just reference. All right, I remember this being a very loud, very heavily mastered tech house track, so let's prepare ourselves. So, on the one hand, I'm going to say like it's very, I don't know, using a vocal like Missy Elliott there is like, you kind of need to do it justice. I think you've done some really cool things with the vocal, with the kind of chopping and stuff. Whether or not that actually works in the context of the track is up for debate. Yeah, I don't know. Like, also I feel like the drum beat is a bit like bland, not really working that well together. You've got a few kind of random sounds in there. There's kind of like slightly trancey, melodic techno-y kind of bits and pieces that happen. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm also struggling to think of like a point of reference. Also, almost Porser, but not. Okay, that's what someone said in the chat. Like, yeah, okay. If we take Porser as a point of reference, I think like he makes like really stripped back stuff like that. But I think like his drums have a little bit more personality, maybe a little bit more organic, and it definitely doesn't have all the kind of melodic techno-y bits. It might be like a little acid riff or something, or some kind of I said, I'm sorry, I don't really know exactly what you're going for with this one. But that said, I think just reference artists that are in the style of what you're going for and try to kind of emulate a little bit what they're doing. Okay, Shades of House mixed to mastered with Thunder at 50%. Okay, so when the clap's a bit loud, but that aside, when the kind of shaker and the kind of main groove kicked in here, it sounds pretty cool. But this bit here just sounded a bit like empty and weird and not much happening. So I think maybe just start with a few more bits and pieces in. Mr. Marcus Hom, what's up, pal? Liking your new EP on Sublease, by the way. Really good stuff. That clap is really loud, eh? That clap's really loud. Doug, did I get your submission? I'm not sure. What maybe give me some more info. Everything that has come through that I've seen, I've put into Ableton here. Nice one, Marcus. We need to do that session we've been talking about for a couple of years now. So this is kind of sounding like a cool groove, albeit like with a very loud clap, but you know, I think when I EQ'd that down,
do you remember your...
Okay, here we go. There was a vocal. All right.
You're the first time for everything you know. Your first crush.
Fracture. Yes, that's correct.
Yes. The first time you felt...
So I think like the vocal. Okay, the vocal sounds a bit weird. Like it's kind of I think maybe cutting out a little bit of the low end. Maybe it's a little bit too loud as well. It's also like a very well-known house sample.
Yeah.
But basically, like, I think if the track feels like pretty loopy, like, so I'm gonna basically in this feedback that I'm giving you right now, I'm gonna kind of exclude the fact that the vocal came in, but it sounded like a really nice groove. But nothing really happened. It's just a bit like, kind of like, it's basically just a loop that's kind of been extended out. Then you're kind of throwing an a cappella on. This little kind of syncopated synth.
Do you remember your first time to be broken? The first time.
Yeah, I think that basically the arrangement is just really loopy and quite vanilla. So I think probably like with a little bit of a mix down, like tweaking the balance of the elements, because it sounds like the groove and stuff sounds pretty cool, but I feel like the arrangement is just like letting everything down. So in regards to that, I think grab 2 or 3 reference tracks and just kind of look at how they're doing, ones that you really like, that are in a similar vibe, that you think the arrangement works really well, and just kind of try and see what they're doing and try and emulate that. But yeah, bringing things in and out is super key for making arrangements interesting. You don't have to add more and more and more and more, but like taking out some hi-hats so that you can then add them back and it sounds very pleasing when they come back. Just simple stuff, especially for like a kind of groovy house track like that. This sounds good. Also very limited very compressed for a file called Premaster. But I won't hold that against you. So here's a masterclass on simplicity, but great sound selection that just sounds phenomenal. Thought Ableton was going to crash right then.
Toma, voz safada. O bagulho é doido, só sequência de rajada. Então, bota de ladinho. Toma, só safada. Ficou viciada, aqui é só pitada. Para o ladinho. Toma, voz safada. O bagulho é doido, só sequência de rajada. Então, bota de ladinho. Toma, só safada. Ficou viciada, aqui é só pitada. Para o ladinho. Toma, voz safada. Sequência de rajada. Então, bota de ladinho. Safada. Ladinho. Safada.
Really solid stuff. You could get that signed really easily, probably to a pretty decent label. The only thing I think that could be kind of cool to like add would be some like kind of tribal percussion fills. Maybe that's just because I love that shit, but I think it's very like electronic-y sounding, and I feel like having some percussion fills or something could like really help to kind of just give it a bit more warmth and a bit more kind of, I don't know, organicness, whatever that means. All right, Mr. Randall Dean, I believe. All right. It's funny on these streams. I always feel like there's kind of like a theme of the day of like feedback that I'm giving. Randall, the drums on this are not working to like. We're pals, so I'm just going to say it how it is. I think they're bad, and which is a shame because you've just brought in these like awesome keys, like with a. But this drum beat that you've got going is just like it leaves no space for those keys. It's also, yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like it's just not working. This like really intense kind of open hat is like overpowering the whole mix, and it's just not a very pleasing sound to my ear. Turn these drums up. That vocal just sounds awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you've got some really cool elements for like a really nice track here, but the drums are just like overpowering everything, and just they kind of sound unappealing and kind of, I don't know, amateur. I mean, yeah, just all the things that I've kind of been mentioning about other tracks, like they don't really feel like they're working that well together. it's the sounds themselves on some places just don't sound that good. Like that hi-hat just sounds bad, and I feel like objectively bad. So this is like, while this probably might sound like the harshest feedback that I've given, it's because there's so much cool shit buried under those drums. Like it's got like an awesome vibe back there that's just being like stifled. So I think there's some real potential there. I'm not sure where you're still signed up on Patreon, but if you're still on one of those tiers where we do sessions, then let's jump on a session and see if we can figure out something. Or obviously you can book in a session and we can work on it. Simple drums works. A little bit quiet on the drums, I think, especially for how meaty that kick is. And I'm going to have to add a limiter. So I think you could do with a bunch more high end on the drums, which don't do that with an EQ, do that by just increasing the volume of the individual elements. And that's like quite a lot, 6 dB that I'm increasing it there. Maybe I'm increasing it a bit too much, but anyway, I think you get the point. I'm actually going to listen with that on. I'll just pull it down a bit. So what this track is doing really well so far is all of the elements are just working together. It's simple, there's few elements, but they complement each other well, and like both sonically and rhythmically. So the synths, the hats, and the bass are all kind of working to the same like rhythm. Right, Mez, I remember we've listened to this in a feedback session.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Might be to do with my EQ, but I feel like that siren sounds still quite loud.
starting.
So I reckon this synth riff or something could have come in. You maybe could have introduced it in the break or something. And it could be playing here and then you take it out here for the outro. So I think it's sounding pretty cool. To be honest, I do not really think that vocal deserves to be in there. It just feels a bit like, I don't know if I've actually heard it before, other than when I've heard your track before. Like, I mean, in another track or on Splice or whatever, but it just kind of sounds like a bit obvious and like nothing that interesting. I think like, yeah, something a bit more imaginative could work way better. You know, it kind of sounds like one of these, like it's from an old newscast or something. I don't know.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I don't know. It's got this very specific, like, there's a lot of sample packs that came out in like kind of 2008 to 2012. A bunch of the like Vengeance stuff and that has like vocal samples like this, which just aren't really that amazing. So I think if you found a cooler sample, it would complement the track like massively. I've got a couple of videos on my channel about where to find vocals and stuff, but just you got to dig for them really. Yeah, but I feel like that's kind of letting down the track a bit, and your hats are low still. Oh, sorry. So you've got this massive kick and bass and like literally not much else going on in this track so far. Just the beat alone is like, feels really empty and like it's massively, you've got just this kind of like shaker and it's massively overpowered by the kind of kick and bass that you've got going on. I'm just gonna see if I can give you a bit more direct example based feedback. Is it 128? Should be about right. And then let's go here, 128. So again, I'm using my own sample pack to demonstrate it, but why is that not mapped? It should be mapped. Control M. And 1 second. All right, apologies for that. So, I mean, you know, it's just random top loops. I think the first one sounded really cool, actually. But, and they're just from my sample pack, but I think they already demonstrate, like, how just something simple, additional on top can kind of, like, elevate this a lot. And they might not be the right sounds for the vibe that you're going for, but something, because like if we can just look at the frequency spectrum in this here, and it's just out of whack. You know, like, don't get me wrong, and the thing is, I hear this a lot. People are like, oh no, my tracks are all about the kick and the bass, that's the most important thing. It's like, yeah, no shit, pal, same for everyone. But like the personality of your track, the stuff that's memorable lives up here. And it sounds like there is stuff in your track, maybe just not quite working that well with, or like, yeah, just the balance is like not quite right. We can try a little bit of funny EQing. I know I'm messing around here a bit, but it's like I'm trying to see what I can get out of it. I like that little vocal sample. Let me know in the chat. Am I off here with the drums? Is it, you know, does that kind of Boots and Cats backbeat just lift the whole track? But anyway, the drums here are a bit out of whack. I think also in the low end, like you've got a lot, you know, if I turn this off. There's a lot going on in the low end, and it's like quite hectic, with not much separation. And then you've got all these kind of like dreamy, kind of noodly, jazzy cool keys, but they just sound like off with the drums. You know, I think if this was like a bit more of a full frequency kind of tribal drum groove, then maybe those jazzy instrumental parts could be really cool. I don't know. As it is, don't feel like it's really working. But there's some potential there. I would definitely try that out, like getting a bit more of a full drum groove going, and then turning those samples up, getting a bit more, definitely a bit more going on in the high end. You just want to also balance out those frequencies with the volume of different elements. Sounds really cool. It sounds very much like a work in progress, which I'm assuming by the arrangement that is the case. One thing I will suggest about arranging, so let's just assume that this was going to be a track that was about 6.5 minutes long or something. It seems as though you started arranging here and worked your way forward, which I used to do a lot, and I never do anymore, because I find it makes for really frustrating and boring arrangement processes. Like, so I will kind of think about what's the main, like, let's go just back up to Unknown Vibes track. If I was going to arrange this, I would do like this part first, and then focus mainly on this part, and then kind of work backwards and go, what makes sense to get up to here, and then what makes sense to get up to here for the intro, and then same for then do the outro. I find like when you work forward like that, you kind of maybe come up with a bunch of elements, and then by the time you get to like a minute and a half, you've used most of the elements for your track, and you're kind of starting to go like, oh, it's boring, I need to add some more stuff. I don't think it's the best way to arrange a track, even though that's the way that you listen to a track. Really cool groove. Cool. I feel like there could be like one melodic element that was a bit more of a hook, whether it's just like a kind of like sound on the drop or something, some kind of riff or really cool sound designed kind of thing. I think that like basically the foundation of the track is there, and like what you've got, this bit in particular sounds really, really good. The vocal, I know the packs that it's from. I know like Marcus Hom, who was in the chat before, has used a bunch of stuff from there. Mihai has, I've used a few. So and that could just be like a personal thing to me then, that it just kind of feels a little bit played out. But whatever, it works. Great groove, love it. I think, yeah, a bit more tension and release and interest in the arrangement. I think you've got I know exactly what you're going for with the vibe, and you've nailed it. try to do something a bit unique with it as well. RJT asks, Dilby, how do you create your basses? Pretty much these days I'm doing pretty much all of them with Diva. I have like a few patches that I've created that I tend to go back to. Simply would be the answer. Most of my basses are like based on saw waves and often like one or two oscillators. Sometimes like a sub oscillator playing the fundamental, and then one up an octave, and then one up 7 semitones, and then just mix the different let me show you. This probably sounds fucking stupid. Diva. Okay. Is this the initialized preset? Yeah. Okay. So basically like that. You can't go up 7 semitones on Diva, so you've got to go up an octave and then down 5. Okay. No. So there we're getting bassy. I normally use these envelopes. And then a bit more of a plucky one. Maybe a bit of chorus. There you go. You got a Dilby bass. You want it to sound a bit more full and aggressive. And then just play around with the settings until it sounds right. Find a cool pattern. Usually I will play like some notes that are up an octave. Easy. Santiago Luna. Never get enough. SL Rough Mix. Okay, so first comment here, sounds really good, Santiago. This strikes me as a like streaming kind of mix, or streaming edit arrangement, which is fine. I just think there's a lot of tracks being released these days which are 4-ish minutes. But I think for the style that you're doing here, I think people still want like longer tracks. I think they want 6-minute tracks. At least I do. I mean, I'm kind of in a genre niche that makes this kind of music. So I would say make your tracks a bit more DJ friendly, as that probably suits the audience a bit better, and then cut that down to be a what do you call it, streaming mix, and do that more aggressively. Cut it down to 2.5 minutes or something. Anyway, let's keep going. Get a bit quiet on the hats. XXSSXX. Submit it. We'll listen. Okay, we're going to do we'll do that and these two. I think the vocal kind of it's cool. I think I'm gonna say it's like a 6.5 out of 10. I think if you did something with it a bit better, yeah. I don't think it's. I think just keep playing it like that. It doesn't. It kind of like isn't that cool. And then I think like here, you could have dropped the vocal out because I think you're going to probably play it quite a lot in the break and then. Right, that you could have put that. I will never get enough here. And then just have this bit without the vocal, so it creates kind of tension because it's just like sitting maybe with the delay. So that if that second vocal phrase plays over here, and then you just keep that delay going and maybe tailing out here, and let's see what happens. Yeah, saxophone sounds a little bit dry. Need a bit of reverb on it, but it's dope. It's a nice surprise.
Never get enough.
Don't even bother putting that. I don't know. I feel like the saxophone's cooler than the vocal, and I don't think they play well on top of each other. I think, yeah, either choose one or the other. Either choose to have the saxophone kind of fill there, or stop the saxophone and then have the vocal.
Never get enough.
Oh, it needs that. It needs that high boost, eh? That's cool. So this is something that people should do more often, is have like alternating leads. So yeah, I don't think you need to have the vocal playing on top of the saxophone, but there, like, so you play the saxophone and then you switch it up and you put the vocal back. So it kind of like, it's just really psychologically pleasing to the ear. Good. I was hoping that you weren't going to bring the saxophone back there. I think having it do its thing in its section, it like, because it's a really cool element, it makes, basically it's better to leave the listener wanting more. They might go and listen to the track again. Now you said you had some concerns about the kick and the bass balance. Did you say that, Will? Sounds pretty good. I don't think there's too much of a problem. Is it? Struggle balancing the kick and the bass. Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. Definitely not the a standout issue of the track. I have a couple of videos on my channel about balancing kick and bass, which give you kind of like a step-by-step method to do it. Is this our R&B ballad? Let's see. Someone that was in the chat earlier, can't find him anymore. Etan said he dropped an R&B ballad in for us. Let's see. Not sure how much feedback I can give you on this one, but let's switch things up.
All of our good times will always be good times, but what if we lose our way? Cracks in the pavement, what would you say then? Would you lead me astray? I would cross the ocean, I'd bring you the moon, but you leave me hoping you might do that too. I would move a mountain, give you everything, yet I haven't counted on you for nothing. What about me? What about me? What about me?
What's going on here? Sorry, I think my internet just cut out momentarily there. XXSSXX, can you just type in the chat what your artist name is? So, I mean, this sounds pretty good for what it is.
I'd bring you the moon. What about me? What about
I think the beat could be a bit harder or a bit.
what about me?
Basically, the mix down could be a bit more solid, I think. But
What about me? What about holding me down, showing me how?
Doug, is this not yours? Love in the Dark. So yeah, cool rap ballady thing. I think he did say that he regretted sending it in after he heard a bit more of the stream. Oh well. So you've got a lot of saturation on a lot of the elements here. I think saturation is really good when used on to like it can, you know. So if you've got one element that you use a lot of saturation on and it sounds distorted, it sounds cool. Oh, sorry, it's way too fast. Should have unwarped it. Sorry, it's a problem with getting tracks in the middle of the stream. Apologies about that. But yeah, so if you've got like a bunch of things that are saturated, then the track just starts to sound kind of saturated and distorted. I think it's better used on some elements and not on too many. Definitely makes more sense now at this tempo. Interesting element that you've got going through there, this like delay LFO-y plucky synth thing, and you're automating it pretty well, which is nice. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got a cool vibe. I think, yeah, maybe, yeah, just try to get, because the thing with when you're putting a lot of saturation onto a lot of elements, it makes them all kind of sound very similar. Like, so I think it really helps a track to feel more dynamic and just more interesting if there's more separation between the elements. But yeah, it definitely works for what it is. Yeah, good stuff. We're going to have a listen to the X's. Who said something? Mr. Biz said he sent in something a little while ago. All right, mate, I'll check my email and see if I can find you, and we might have to speed run it because we are getting pretty close to being out of time. But cool bass sound thing. Crazy triplet groove there. Yeah, really, I mean, the sounds in this, it's not my thing generally, but the sounds in this and the kind of mix balance, it all sounds really, really, really good. And very good production, like lots of like really interesting sound design, but not overdone and repetitive. Really, really good. Great, bro. Like really, really, really well done. You won't catch me playing that in a million years, but at the same time, I don't think I could make that in a million years. So there you go. But I can absolutely respect how much kind of time and effort and precision has gone into that. It really works well for what it is. So no shade there. I'm just trying to take the piss. So this is Mr. Business, or Mr. Biz in the chat. I love that little vocal thing coming in the background. Very nice. This is really good, man. This is really good. Honestly, yeah, some really, really solid late submissions today. This is fire, man. Really good. Again, probably not something that I would like play in a set, but I can respect the fuck out of that. Man, Mr. Biz stands on business there. interesting to hear which ones were your favorites. I mean, it's kind of irrelevant. I try to give everyone some feedback as well as I can, and my favorites are just my taste, you know, like, so I try to like listen to the track and be as objective as I can. If something like stands out as being like particularly to my taste, then I will say that, but I don't think whether or not I personally vibe with something is like a super important factor for anyone to care about. We got another bass monster here, guys. Is the kick and the sub playing on the same frequency? It just sounds so bassy. Okay, yeah. So like G sharp and then a kick. Yeah. You don't put your kick and bass on the same, playing the same fundamental frequency. It's just like creating so much energy in the low end and no separation between your kick and bass, especially when you've got a very kind of dull kick without a lot of top end like this. It's messing up your low end. Like if we go like this, the low end just sounds really boring. So I think with a really dull kick like that, you probably want to have a bass that's got a bit more body in it. And definitely just don't play your kick and bass on the same fundamental frequency, even if they're like separated a little bit. It's going to give a world of benefit to your track. And then you like so if I was to kind of try and fix this a little bit with some EQ. So I think you've got a lot of stuff going on in this track, like you got like, yeah, loads of stuff. You've brought in this like vocal that's completely different rhythmically to all the other little bits and pieces that you've got going on in the track. It's just all the things need to be working together a bit better, I think, Carlos. I would say fix the kick and bass first off, and then really start stripping out a whole bunch of stuff from this to try and figure out what it is that what's the essence of this track. What are you trying to do with it? What's the core main elements that you want people to know about it? Is it the vocal? Is it the like 10 different synths? That's being a bit facetious, but like, what's the point? If you were if you were only allowed to solo 3 elements and you still expect the person to know instantly that's your track, what are those elements? Decide that and then double down on it. All right, that is going to be a wrap. Thanks for everyone who sent in their stuff, and some absolutely phenomenal tunes in there. So really, really top stuff. Nice one. Enjoy your Sundays and your Sunday. It's only a single day. All right, guys, take it easy. Peace. Oh, by the way, this will be up on YouTube for you to watch back and listen to my hilarious comedy.